Time to take a break from Snetterton as we go over to watch the Lotus team in the Dubai 24-hour.
What we're doing, we're taking this car, which is Paul Golding's old shed, race car, and attempting to complete the Dubai 24 hours race. I think the inspiration for this partly came from doing 1,000 kilometres at Brands last year, where the cars lasted really well. And after that, the decision was taken by Mr. Golding, the aforementioned, to try and get this car around for 24 hours. So it's a bit new territory. I've certainly never done a 24-hour race. This car hasn't, this team hasn't, but got a lot of great people behind us, as you can see, literally behind me, led by Golding, Essex Autosport, Mr. Williams involved as well, and all really excited. The drivers are myself, Pete Story, Simon Phillips, and Ken Savage. All of us are veterans of the Lotus on Track series, and we're looking forward to ragging it senseless, and hopefully, if we're very lucky, we're going to make it get over the line and then explode and never be used again, which would be perfect.
3,000 miles and 30 degrees away from the usual hunting ground, Team Lotus Elise Trophy here in the United Arab Emirates, the 6th running of the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai. With the final stages of preparation done, the car is ready to run for its first time since the winter rebuild from Essex Autosport. The car came over in a crate from Rotterdam. There's been plenty of work over the past couple of days to get it ready to head out on track. It's going to be test driver Andrew Walsh who will be the first to shake the car down on a very busy circuit. There are 90 cars entered to this 6th running of the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai, of all shapes and sizes and all manner of exotica. The Lotus running well in the early stages, although Andrew identifying a slight problem with second gear was going to necessitate a gearbox change before the race started. It also meant that a spare gearbox to the race needs to be flown over from the UK, so one of the luckless girlfriends of the team was detailed with taking 48 kilograms of hand luggage on a jet plane to get over in time for the start of the race. Gearbox landed an hour late, so the team were gearboxless for the first hour of the race. After the initial shakedown, there was plenty of debriefing going on amongst the drivers, as Andrew was feeding back the car was doing, but also what the Dubai Autodrome was like as well, because this was new territory for all the drivers. The cars wheeled back into the garage, and a long night of work was ahead for Essex Autosports. Race day was upon us, and lining up 74th on the grid, 9th in class, was the least powerful, lightest car in the field, Team Elise Trophy. The smallest team entered, but with plenty of ample support from the Royal Navy, many of whose staff were here to cheer on the team over the course of the 24-hour race. The United Arab Emirates flag was waved and racing got underway with 90 cars charging down towards turn 1. It was Simon Phillips who had the honour of starting in the Team Elise Trophy entry, looking to make up some early ground for that 74th on the grid, as he was in amongst a very busy and congested pack plunging down the hill towards the tight turn 1 here at the Dubai Autodrome. One of the diesel entries just going up the inside of Simon as he safely negotiates the first corner, accelerates through the quick left-hander and out onto the back stretches. Well, you can't win a race in the first lap, but you can certainly lose it, and that is more so the case than ever in a 24-hour race. But Simon safely through the early stages.
Now we've got to the refuelling area. Just giving an update on how the car's going. Yeah, he's in this lap. He's about 3/4 lap away. It's nearly ready. Alright, come into pit lane now. Thanks guys, come into pit lane now. Straight in, straight in. Still Steve. They're actually queuing up now for fuel. There is several A2 cars in at the moment. Can you advise what to do, please? Everyone's coming in, and they're down to the refuelling station. Let's get in that queue. 10 C2 fueling, main speed limit. Watch one, release it.
The first pit stop safely out of the way, Ken Savage heads down the pit lane. As darkness came down, the code 60s, which is the Ferrari equivalent of the safety car, came into force where the cars had to circulate at no more than 60 kilometres an hour as cars started going off in the night. Although the attrition rate went up, the Lotus continued, and thus far without any major problems at all. Putting in some excellent laps through the gloom, the Lotus really was working its way up through the class, and Ken Savage doing a great job behind the wheel in the dead of night, looking out over the Dubai cityscape as he accelerates along the back straight. Ken being passed on both sides by some of the faster cars. You can really see the speed differential between Little Elise and some of the cars at the very head of the field. Ken keeping things steady, pounding in lap after lap as he turns into the hairpin and gets it a little bit wrong. A quick spin, fortunately no harm done, and Ken having a very successful stint throughout the night, eventually peeling into the pits as planned. Team pitting every 2 hours for a fuel stop and a driver change. The Elise being quite kind to its tyres. It didn't need a new set of slicks on every pit stop. As you can see, the team got to work very effectively to change those tyres when needed. Well, the Lotus 211 of the RSR racing team had all sorts of problems. Being hit by an errant wheel at the start of the race, it was then hit in the rear later on and forced into retirement. Also hit in the rear was the Team Elise Trophy car, and it was clipped by a Lamborghini during the night. Fortunately, there were no real problems, and the car got back onto the track fairly shortly. The work we're seeing now is when the rear hub seized in the dead of night, and that necessitated now as a pit stop to get it changed. Work done. The car's wheeled back out of the garage and onto the very busy track. A good number of 90 cars still circulating. The team anxiously waiting on the pit apron for any problems. Well, 18 hours into the race, the sun started to come up. This one of the most difficult periods in any 24-hour race. Both the change of light presenting a real challenge for the driver, but also as the sun comes up, there's just that psychological effect that the race is coming to an end. As the race moved to its closing stages, the Elise was on course for a class podium. The rule book was being frantically consulted to make sure that all the I's been dotted, all the T's crossed. But then there was drama. With just a couple of hours to go, the rear hub had seized, and unfortunately the Essex Autosport boys were put to work once more, hoping to change that rear hub as quickly as possible to get the car back out on track. The Team Elise Trophy, though, it meant the priority changed from getting that class podium to bring the car home to the finish. Already the performance had far exceeded the expectations of the team. Now they just wanted to get that car repaired, back on track. Simon Phillips, James Knight and Ken Savage had all driven superb stints throughout the race, but it was Pete Story who had the honour of driving the final stint. The instructions of the team were very simple. It was to keep the car pointing in the right direction and bring it home. The car was wheeled out onto pit apron for hopefully the final time. So Pete went on his way. Didn't stop him charging though, as he made a fairly bold move on one of the Clios in the same class, the inside into turn 1, a very nicely judged move. One you expect to see in a 10-lap sprint race, the 24-hour race, particularly as he then repeated the manoeuvre 2 corners later, passing the sister machine. Story pushing as hard as he can right up until the very closing stages of the race. Unfortunately, turning through the right hander, he pushed a little bit too hard, had a slight moment, which you can see here. He gathered it all up and kept on his way. No harm done, no drama. The team probably didn't know about it until they reviewed the onboard. As ever in this 24-hour race, we were treated to the spectacle, the mass finish. Superbly celebratory way to finish what would be an excellent 6th running for the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai. It's been a super race and a fantastic team effort from Team Elise Trophy, who are now anxiously looking to the final corner. Pete Story to bring that car round and through to the checkered flag, which he duly did, accelerating up to the line, and the cheers of the crew. "24 hours and 460 laps later, the exhausted team celebrating in the pit lane. It's been an excellent team effort and a wonderful adventure.